Raising children in a society in which media has such a profound effect on the opinions and actions of them, parents must be extra vigilant in deciding which media to expose their children to. It may not be surprising that many of the shows aimed at younger children hold no educational or social benefit, making it easy for parents to decide against them. But it might be more surprising to think that animated Disney films may supply role models who epitomize beauty and potentially create unhealthy body image expectations in young girls. The entertainment empire that is Disney has a powerful grasp on the attention of viewers. This hold allows a societal depiction of love and happiness to be that of the idealistic happily ever after portrayed in Disney films. My name is Catherine Ashmore, and by evaluating research put forth by several scholars, I will attempt to describe how Disney films prepare children for unrealistic futures in terms of attainable beauty, love, and happiness. The hypothesis posited in this research states that the concepts put forth by Disney in the films The Little Mermaid and Beauty and the Beast, of happiness being synonymous with love and beauty being an idealistic form of perfection, make it clear that the viewing of these films manifests into unrealistic expectations of beauty, love, and social norms, especially in young adolescent girls. For one to fully understand how the princesses may be able to have such a profound effect, the history of the Disney princesses must be explained. A group made up of 11 princesses, with more anticipated to join the cohort. The Disney princesses refer solely to those characters who are either the daughter of a king, wife of a prince, or both in some cases. Snow White was the original character in what Sam Higgs describes as the Disney princess lineup. The earlier princesses in this group are each on their own quest to find Prince Charming, with little else on their agendas. Higgs continues the evaluation of this group by pointing out that all of the princesses share such similar characteristics, one may be mistaken for another. As you can see, there is a large gap in the production of princess films between Sleeping Beauty and The Little Mermaid. When bringing the princess characters back into production with The Little Mermaid, Disney embarked on what is referred to as the Disney Renaissance. The Disney Renaissance began in the late 1980s and lasted until the mid-1990s with the production of Pocahontas. According to Higgs, this era saw a bigger influx of princesses than any other period. These princesses were cultivated to show a more independent princess whose only goal was not to find a prince, though the happily ever after ending remained. I chose to focus my research on The Little Mermaid and Beauty and the Beast, mostly because these films were such a vivid part of my childhood. The Little Mermaid, as depicted by Disney in 1989, was loosely based on the much older story told by Hans Christian Andersen in 1836. The two stories are very similar in terms of characters and overall plot. The main difference between the two lies in the ending. Where Andersen's Little Mermaid does not marry her prince and becomes part of the clouds where she will spend the remainder of her 300 years, Disney provides an alternate ending in which the Little Mermaid marries her prince and lives happily ever after, with her two worlds melding into one, so she is not forced to choose between the love of her family and her love for Prince Eric. The animated Beauty and the Beast, created by Disney, tells a very similar tale to that written by French author Gabrielle Suzanne Barbeau de Villeneuve, entitled La Belle et la Bête. The beautiful Belle becomes the prisoner of the Beast, eventually discovering that he is much more than a terrifying monster and falls in love with him. The main difference in the two tales is how Belle comes to the haunted castle. The French version explains that Belle's father sacrifices her so that he may be saved, while the much kid-friendlier version shows that Belle sacrifices herself, allowing her sick father to return home. While both stories differ in plot and in certain characteristics, one commonality is the beauty both Ariel and Belle possess. All of the characteristics depicted in the princesses provide unattainable versions of a fictional character who young girls adore. Because of the slight advancement during the Disney Renaissance, Lori Baker Sperry, an assistant professor in women's studies at Western Illinois University, does point out that while the later princesses are more clever, active, and independent than their earlier counterparts, the feminine quality of beauty is unchanged. A favorite activity among young girls is to play princess and dress up in Halloween costumes. Researcher Garland states that princess play may seem harmless in terms of fun, but princess narratives carry messages about how girls should relate to the world and to boys and men, orienting the happiness of women toward the acquisition of love. While physical beauty seems to be unchanged, the social norms present in most Disney films are idealistic, as the princesses display an overwhelming need to be self-sacrificing and kind, and to defend those in trouble. In fact, pro-social behavior is so prevalent in Disney movies, it can be seen nearly every minute, according to research conducted by Padilla Walker, Coyne, Fraser, and Stockdale. With the magnitude of pro-social behavior being displayed, according to social cognitive theory, young viewers should be affected in a way that makes them change their attitudes and actions to act more like a princess, especially in terms of being nicer citizens. The effect of social cognitive theory would hopefully be seen after viewing Beauty and the Beast in terms of a beautiful girl being intelligent as well as beautiful. While Belle is seen as different for enjoying learning new things, it is posited that the society she is living in is different and she is the normal one, potentially showing young girls that there is nothing to fear about appearing different, and possibly offering the opportunity for young girls to change what different means in general. Stereotypes are present in many Disney films, and in many cases may potentially lead young girls to believe they are less capable and have fewer opportunities because of how the female gender is viewed. Though there are some who fear that by exploring new avenues, they will break the stereotyped mold, others have no desire to be categorized as anything other than a princess. In fact, researcher Danella discovered that grown women who self-identify as princesses gave up more easily on challenging tasks, were less likely to want to work, and were more focused on superficial qualities. For those who identify as princesses, the concepts of love at first sight and true love are most likely coveted attainments. Disney portrays in most princess films that true love is easily recognized, and each princess has one who she is destined to be with. When Ariel sees Prince Eric for the first time, she immediately becomes infatuated with him, and when a statue of him is forced overboard as the ship wrecks, and Ariel is able to store it in her treasure trove, she is able to combine both of her true loves, the love of human possessions and the love of her prince. It must be understood that one main purpose of Disney princess films, especially the earlier ones, was to obtain happiness by finding true love. Though the characteristics of the princesses have been evolving, and the princesses begin to find other purposes of life than to find Prince Charming, Higgs states that still, Beauty and the Beast essentially says that a 1990s woman may think she wants more, but a heterosexual relationship is what she needs. Disney takes another step and introduces the idea that while finding a soulmate is fine, it indeed needs to be love at first sight. The concept of love at first sight is so prominent in Disney films that researchers Tanner, Haddock, Zimmerman, and Lund found that it was a theme in 78.3% of the Disney movies they analyzed. Interestingly, Garland points out that happiness is viewed as the acquisition of love, and regardless of everything else a woman may accomplish, she is not a whole person without the true love of a man. She continues by saying that the love we are told we need to give our life meaning is not something we can control, but we must wait for love to find us. Disney did not solely focus on the love between the princess and her prince, but also the princess and her family, most notably her father. While both Ariel and Belle went against their father's wishes, they were shown the unconditional love a father is expected to provide. It is unrealistic, however, to think that a father would allow his daughter to make the life-changing decisions Ariel and Belle made. Disney does point out by these relationships that in large majority, parents will always provide love, even if they do not agree with the decisions made by their children. Love and happiness are so closely linked in our society, it is hard for us to understand how to have happiness without the idealistic romantic love. According to Garland, the belief in love as the source of true happiness has remained a persistent theme, and the resolution of the story is typically centered on the blissful union of the heterosexual couple. Through the research presented throughout this paper, it was concluded that though it is evident that young girls may not base all of their ideals on the lives of Disney princesses, those characters do play a role in shaping perceptions of love, both love of family and romantic love, beauty, and societal norms. Young girls will most likely always have an affinity for fairy tales, with pretty princesses and fairy godmothers. While few to none will experience the dramatic Disney like ending, perhaps they will be able to create their own version of a perfect ever after.